Day 4 of the Eric Jackson quadruple murder trial was filled with more testimony that was anything but favorable for the 40-year-old acting as his own attorney. 23 News reporter Jim Haggerty was in the courtroom Thursday with more on how the statements of a jailhouse informant helps build the state build an even stronger case.
1 People versus Eric Jackson, 21 CF 2454.
Eric Jackson sat stone-faced at the defense table as retired Detective Brad Shelton testified that an informant told him Jackson confessed while they were in the Winnebago County Jail together after the 2016 killings of Keandra Austin and her 3 kids. Shelton read a statement from the informant who told police that Jackson killed the young family to avoid being arrested.
And he said he wasn't going back to the federal prison away from his family.
Austin, who was Jackson's neighbor, had reported him for allegedly breaking into her house a week before she was killed. Jackson's kids had also been exchanging angry words with one of Austin's children.
So he had to do what he had to do.
According to the jailhouse informant, because of the dispute involving the children and because Eric Jackson was being accused of burglary, he needed to, quote, silence Keandra Austin's Garfield Drive house.
And he had to cover his tracks by making it look like an electrical problem and burn the whole house down.
In a bizarre twist Thursday, a video of the informant implicating Jackson was played for the jury at Jackson's request. In the clip, the informant told police what Jackson allegedly used to start the deadly fire.
With a gasoline can that he had, and he took it with him and put it in some car.
Working for you in Rockford, Jim Haggerty, 23 News.
Police say they retrieved a gas can from the car Jackson was driving after the murders. That car was seen near Austin's house going up into flames back in 2016.